Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. Also make sure you turn off your hot and cold water supplies. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the lining kit. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it from AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the bag, you're going to get the instructions, the clutch lining kit, the brake cam driver, a set of springs. You're going to use one of them depending upon your model, and the 2 spring end caps. The main reason you'd be buying the lining kit is if the brake cam driver broke on your machine and you need to replace it. They don't sell this piece separately. You have to replace it as this full kit. First, we have to go ahead and open up the washer lid to gain access to the inside of the washer. We have to go ahead and remove the fabric dispenser. Our particular model just pulls off. Other fabric dispensers may have a lock ring that you have to pull up on to disengage and then lift up on the fabric dispenser, and then there's probably going to be a cap underneath it. You'll have to pry off the cap with a flathead screwdriver. Most models have a dust cap. We need to pull it out so we can get to the agitator bolt. If the dust cap seal is damaged, you should order a new one from AppliancePartsPros.com. Underneath the dust cap is the inner agitator assembly and the agitator hold down bolt. So grab your 7/16 inch socket with a long extension. When you first start to take out the bolt, it may be a little tight, so you have to reach down inside the tub and hold the lower agitator while you break it free. Once you feel that the bolt is all the way out of the threads, lift the agitator out of the washer. Some models, once you take the agitator off, have the little retaining clip and a plastic piece down in here. So just grab your pliers and pull that off, and then lift the plastic piece off. We need to remove the fill hoses so we can lay the machine down. Grab your channel locks and break them free. Once you have them loose, you can just turn them by hand. We can remove the clamp. Just grab it with your pliers, slide it up a little bit on the hose, and pull the hose off this white fitting. We're going to have to lay the machine on its back for this repair, so go ahead and grab a towel and put it down on the floor to protect the floor from the washer. When you're putting the washer down, it's very heavy, so get some help if you need it. Now that we have the machine laid down, we have access to the underside of the machine so we can do the repair. First thing we have to do is get the pump out of the way. It's held in by these 2 clips that we can pry off with our flathead screwdriver. Once you get them off, just turn them 90 degrees and the bottoms will come out of the motor. There's one on the bottom and one on the top. Once we have these out of the way, you can lift the pump off the motor and swing it up out of the way. We have to disconnect the electrical connection to the motor. It's held in by this little tab that you can lift up on with a flathead screwdriver and pull the wire connector off. Then we have to remove the wiring harness from the gear case mount. So you take your flathead screwdriver, pry this little clamp out, and get the wires out of there. The gear case is held in by 3 bolts. 1/2 inch. Let's go ahead and remove them all. Before we remove the gear case, we'll lay a towel on the floor. It's probably going to have some oil on it. Now that we have everything disconnected, we can pull the gear case out. To take out the clutch lining, grab it with your channel locks, squeeze the spring together, and lift it off the gear case. We also have to take off the brake cam driver. Has a little C-clip on it that you can pop off with a flathead screwdriver. Here's the old parts next to the new parts. If you already have these, great. If not, you can get them at AppliancePartsPros.com. If you ended up getting this kit, it's because your cam driver was broken, and it does come in a kit with a new clutch lining. So you have to match up the spring on the clutch assembly you took out and then put it together. They're usually color coded, or the instructions tell you which ones to use for which models. So to put it together, you have to take these little end caps and stick them on the lining. And then stick the spring in between the two. Once you have it assembled and you're ready to put it back in, you can grab it with your channel locks. If you had to take out the lining to change the spring, or if you're installing the lining, make sure that these tabs go down and the even part goes up. Once you have the spring compressed, you can lower the lining back into the clutch housing. Now that we have the new clutch lining in, we can go ahead and replace the cam driver. Put it back on the shaft, and then make sure your retaining clip goes in the groove that goes around the end of the shaft so it holds it in place. Before we put the gear case back in, we have to make sure that the brake cam driver and the clutch spring are lined up opposite. Otherwise, when you put them in, the brake cam will hit the spring and it won't go in all the way. Now that we have the gear case reassembled, we can go ahead and put it back into the machine. When you push it down onto the mounting legs, they have little lips on them, so once you seat it, you don't have to worry about it falling off. Now we can put in the bolts that hold the gear case in. Next we can reroute the wiring harness through the wire harness clip. So get the wires in there and press it together to lock it. Plug the wiring harness back into the motor, and then making sure that it locks into place. Okay, we're going to put the pump back in. We're going to put the rear bracket in first to make it easier. Once the pump's on the motor, it's kind of hard to get that back in there, so we're just going to lay it in the back like that. And then we'll go ahead and grab the pump and swing it back over the motor. Make sure you look at the flats on the shaft in the pump. The motor may have turned. You may have to adjust it so the pump slides back on right. Once you have it down, reach down and snap that rear clip on, and then do the front one. Okay, we have everything reinstalled. Make sure you get the washer up onto its feet as soon as possible so no oil drains out of the gear case. Now that we're done with the repair, we can lift the machine back up on its feet. Make sure you get somebody to help you. The machine's very heavy. To install the hoses, carefully thread them onto the water valve. Make sure you don't cross thread them and strip the valve, otherwise you'll have to replace that. Tighten it down by hand and then snug it down with your channel locks. To install the drain line, just push it onto the white fitting till it seats, and then grab your pliers and move the clamp down into the clamp section. There's actually two lines on this hose that has the word clamp in between it that tells you where to put the clamp. So make sure it's right there so it gets held on properly. Now that you have the machine reassembled, you can go ahead and plug it back in, turn the water back on, and take it for a test spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.